They silenced me at the altar, laughed behind closed doors, tried to erase my name, my voice, my place beside him. But now, they'll hear every word, under oath, in front of the world. This time, the silence belongs to them. The courtroom felt colder than I expected. Despite the crowded gallery, filled with lawyers, journalists, business analysts, and vultures in designer heels, the air was tense, electric. As if everyone already sensed that today would change everything. Nathan adjusted his tie. Beside me, he was steady, composed, no longer the man lying helpless in a hospital bed, but a storm that had been patient long enough. The empire his family built was about to be dissected, exposed, and possibly destroyed, not by enemies, but by the son they left for dead. Across from us sat Lily, pale beneath heavy makeup, her lips twitching with nerves. Ryan tapped his foot rapidly, pretending to read the documents in front of him. His hands shook. I almost pitied them. Almost. All rise, the bailiff called out. The judge entered. Everyone stood. A moment later, the gavel struck once. This court is now in session for the matter of Foster versus Foster et al. A microphone buzzed to life. And with that, the games began. Your Honor, said the lead prosecutor, rising confidently, our first witness is Mr. Nathaniel Foster. The room shifted. Chairs creaked. A few audible gasps slipped out. Even now, many weren't convinced Nathan had truly recovered, that he could speak, let alone testify. Nathan stood. One measured step after another carried him to the witness stand. Every inch of his movement was a message: I am not only alive, I am watching. And I remember. He was sworn in. And then he looked directly at Lily. I was in a coma, he said, voice clear and unnervingly calm. But I heard everything. Every betrayal. Every whispered plan. Every attempt to erase me. He recounted it all. The financial tampering, the illegal transfer signed while he was incapacitated, the suppressed second will. He confirmed that I had been named as heir in that will, and not his sister, not the board, not the vultures circling the Foster name. Lily's face twisted. This is a circus. He's emotionally unstable. Your Honor, the prosecutor interrupted. If Ms. Foster would prefer not to hear the testimony, we're happy to play the recordings. My heart pounded as he reached for my phone, connected it to the speaker system. And then, the room filled with their voices. Ryan, he's just lying there like a ghost. What's the point of dragging this out? Lily, the moment he's gone, the inheritance falls to me. Emma's too dumb to see it coming. Their laughter followed. Then silence. Pin drop silence. The judge shifted uncomfortably. Jurors looked away. Reporters frantically typed notes. And a man in the second row whispered under his breath, Jesus. More evidence followed. Emails. Ledger alterations. Signed authorizations with forged signatures. Even Mr. Collins had submitted a written statement confirming the family's attempts to suppress Nathan's will. By the end of the second hour, the Foster name wasn't just tarnished. It was dismantled. The family's attorneys looked sick. Half of the shareholders left the courtroom mid-session. And I saw, with no small sense of satisfaction, Lily finally stopped pretending to be calm. Her hand trembled violently when she tried to drink water. During the recess, I stepped outside for air. I didn't expect the woman who approached me mid-30s, coat too thin for the weather, eyes glassy. You don't know me, she said quietly, but I followed the case online. Everyone thought you were the silent wife, the powerless bride. You're not. I blinked. Thank you. You didn't just survive them, she said, a tear falling down her cheek. You defied them. Nathan appeared behind me, placing a hand gently on my back. What did I miss? Not much, I said, glancing back toward the courthouse. Just the sound of everything they built, collapsing. The internet never sleeps. And this time, I didn't want it to. The morning after Nathan's courtroom testimony, I woke to a phone buzzing itself off the nightstand. Mentions, shares, messages from strangers, people I'd never met who now called me brave, cold, dangerous, brilliant. People who had seen the video. But that was only the beginning. Are you sure about this? Nathan asked as I zipped up my coat that afternoon. We were heading to the press conference, the one they had originally arranged to control the narrative. I turned to him. They paraded me in white while they lied in black. It's my turn. He smiled slightly. Just don't hold back. Not a chance. The press hall was already swarming. Lights, cameras, questions shouted too early. I watched from behind the curtain as the two stars of the scandal, Lily and Ryan, stood behind a sleek podium, trying to hold on to the last scraps of their perfect image. Lily began, her voice tight. We want to clarify. A journalist cut in. Did you or did you not attempt to declare Nathan Foster legally brain dead without a second medical opinion? She flinched. That's a private family matter. Then it was Ryan's turn. He stepped up to the mic, clearly rehearsed. We understand there's confusion and a lot of fabricated material floating online. We want to remind everyone that not everything you hear is. I stepped out. He froze mid-sentence. Gasps rippled through the room like electricity. Flashbulbs went off. The crowd shifted. And for once, Lily had nothing to say. I took my place beside the media panel, my voice steady into the mic. Since they're having trouble remembering the truth, I thought I'd help. From my phone, I connected to the screen behind me, a large projection screen meant for boring company graphs. Instead, it now showed high-resolution ruin. Clips of their voices, cold, calculating, undeniable. The same ones from the courtroom, now edited together with images. Nathan unconscious. Me, alone in my wedding dress. Signed medical orders. A full timeline, date-stamped, verified. Emma's clueless. She'll get nothing. She's weak. She won't stand a chance. The final slide, a copy of the will. Signed, dated, stamped. The room erupted. Some reporters stood. One woman dropped her pen. Lily lunged toward the mic. This is an ambush. You can't. I tilted my head. Can't what? Tell the truth? You had no issue doing it in secret. Ryan's face turned ghostly. You edited that. It's out of context. Oh, I held up my phone. Here's the full 3-hour audio. Would you like me to play all of it? They didn't answer. The press conference ended before it really began. Lily stormed off, flashing cameras chasing her like vultures. Ryan was left behind, cornered by reporters asking if he planned to resign, from what no one was sure. By the time I stepped out of the building, the internet had already crowned a new headline queen. The bride who buried them, Emma speaks. That night, Nathan and I sat on the terrace of the estate. Below, camera lights still flickered at the gates. The world was watching. You didn't just destroy them, Nathan said, handing me a glass of wine. You made sure they couldn't recover. I stared out at the hills. They wanted me invisible. They wanted me quiet. Now they get to watch while everyone else listens. He clinked his glass to mine. To your voice. And to the next name on my list. He raised an eyebrow. Your stepmother? I smiled. Cold and clean. It's time she joined them in the fire. It started with a signature I recognized too well. Margot Renford Sterling. My stepmother. A woman who perfected the art of charm like others perfect a fake smile. The documents came to light while Nathan's legal team was combing through the Foster estate archives for assets connected to the second will. I wasn't supposed to see them, but one name stood out, and when I asked to see the file, no one stopped me. The transfer was simple, £500,000 wired to Margot's account exactly 12 days before my wedding. Labeled as a consulting fee. The contract that came with it? Colder than any courtroom transcript. Subject agrees to influence and secure the marital union between Emma Renford and Nathaniel Foster, as arranged and approved by Foster Holdings. Subject to ensure compliance of the bride. No contact with press or third-party legal representation until post-wedding formalization. I couldn't breathe. She hadn't just pushed me into that marriage, she sold me into it. Contractually. Nathan was quiet when I handed him the file. Did you ever suspect her? He asked. I shook my head. No. I thought she was just indifferent. Like always. But indifference doesn't come with £500,000 attached. We didn't confront her immediately. There was a press gala the next night, One she was attending as a board member of a philanthropic art initiative. She loved those events, the flashing lights, the clinking glasses, the pretense of power. So I made sure she'd be seen. I entered the ballroom dressed in white again, but not bridal white. This time it was sharp, structured, commanding. Nathan by my side in black. We didn't need to say a word when we stepped in. The shift in atmosphere said it all. Margot saw us instantly. Her eyes narrowed. She approached with forced elegance. "Emma, darling, I wasn't expecting you here." "No," I replied. "You probably weren't expecting to be exposed either." She stiffened. "Excuse me." I held up the contract. "You signed this." "Took money." "Sold me like inventory." Her face paled. "I don't know where you got that, but it's clearly fake." "Oh, it's very real," Nathan said beside me. "And already submitted to the authorities." Reporters began to close in. Camera lights flickered. She noticed the attention, tried to regain composure. "You are going to lose everything," she hissed under her breath. "I gave you a future. Don't pretend you're not benefiting now." I stepped closer. "You gave me nothing. You traded me like property, and now you get to watch me own everything you were never invited into." Her facade cracked. Later that evening, every major publication ran the headline. Socialite Margot Renford under investigation for bridal transaction scandal. By morning, she was removed from 3 charity boards. Her club memberships suspended. Her name, once spoken with idle envy in high circles, was now laced with shame. I received a text from her the following afternoon. Just one line. "You think you've won." I stared at it for a moment before deleting it. Because I had. Not just the legal war or the public battle, but something deeper. The quiet war I had fought since childhood of being dismissed, overlooked, packaged, and polished to look acceptable was finally over. She had underestimated me for the last time. And now she would never be remembered for anything but the daughter she tried to sell. Walking into the Foster Group's headquarters wasn't like walking into a wedding anymore. This was my battlefield. And today, I was no longer the silent bride, I was the CEO. Nathan stood beside me, calm but proud. He didn't need to speak, his presence said it all. This was my moment. The boardroom was filled with familiar faces, many trying hard to mask their surprise, some with disbelief, others with barely concealed fear. "Emma Sterling Foster," the chairman finally said, his voice tight. "You're now leading the new venture. This is a big responsibility." I smiled, steady and sure. "It is. And I'm ready." I laid out the plan. A fresh start, a new direction for Foster Group, transparent, ethical, and built on respect. Not just for shareholders, but for everyone who'd been trampled in the old regime. There were questions, doubts. But I answered each one honestly. I wasn't here to rebuild their empire. I was here to create mine. Nathan caught my eye during the meeting and gave me a subtle nod, the kind that says, "We're in this together." After the session ended, a few board members came up quietly to shake my hand, some apologetic, others resigned. The game had changed. The silent bride had become a force. Outside, reporters were waiting. Cameras flashed as I stepped out, poised and confident. One asked, "Emma, what does this new role mean to you?" I looked into the crowd and said, "It means I'm no longer hiding behind anyone's name. I'm here to lead, to change the game, and to remind everyone that sometimes the bride who is meant to be forgotten is the one who takes it all." Nathan joined me, his hand finding mine. Together, we walked forward, partners, leaders, and the architects of a new legacy. The boardroom door slid open, and a hush fell over the room. All eyes were on me as I walked in, head held high. White wasn't just a color anymore. It was my armor, my declaration. No longer the frightened girl pushed into a sham marriage. No longer the silent witness to betrayal. I was Emma Sterling Foster, the woman who'd burned down an empire to build her own. The tension in the air was thick. Some faces twisted in disbelief, others in grudging respect. But every single person in that room knew one thing. I was here to stay. I took my place at the head of the table, feeling the weight of the CEO title settle around my shoulders like a cloak of power. Nathan stood a few steps behind me, silent support in his eyes. This company I began, voice steady and strong, was once built on secrets, lies, and broken promises. But today, it belongs to those who believe in truth, strength, and the courage to change. I paused, scanning the room. The old guard who tried to silence me were now silent themselves. They understood that the rules had changed. The foster group will no longer be a playground for greed or deceit. We will rebuild it as a place of integrity and innovation, a legacy worth fighting for. A board member cleared his throat, and what of the past? I smiled, a fierce, knowing smile. The past is the foundation on which we stand. I am not ashamed of it. It made me who I am, a leader forged in fire and betrayal. Nathan's hand found mine, a quiet reminder that I wasn't alone. Together, we faced what was ahead, partners in both life and battle. After the meeting, as I stepped onto the terrace overlooking the city skyline, flashes from the waiting press lit up the dusk. Reporters shouted questions, but I only had one message. I am not the girl who walked down that aisle in silence. I am the woman who took back everything they tried to steal, and then some. My name is Emma Sterling Foster, and this is just the beginning. The applause was not just for me, it was for every silent voice that ever found strength to speak, every shadow that stepped into the light. And as the city lights flickered below, I knew one thing for sure. They would never forget my name. Thank you for following Emma's journey from silence to power. If you want more stories filled with resilience, justice, and fierce determination, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The next chapter in life awaits.